effortlessly in their opening match yesterday. Same, of course, can be said about the likes of Toronto Defiant. They are definitely the team to beat with a big, fat target on their backs. Let's see if DHILLDUCKS can hit the bullseye, or if they just, you know, have to take it like every other team. Toronto Defiant at it again. No changes for this roster, because why would you change something that's working so well?
Yeah, obviously this lineup, you know, that's the coach, Danny. You know, obviously RuPaul in the roster itself. We're dealing with a team, obviously, that features someone who is probably still the undisputed best tank player in the world. Merit, of course, alongside Sugar Free. This is kind of a combo that you might have even dreamed about, watching them on separate teams in years past, but they come together. Sugar Free is electrifying young rookie and a very powerful projectile sort of, you know, player, and of course Merit has given us some of the craziest individual moments from a hit scan that we've ever seen. So we saw some trolling, some role swapping at times.
Just a little bit.
How easy it's been for this team, right?
I mean, also if you have someone in the mix, that's just what's happening. He wants to have fun with it whilst also winning it all. Now, did I hear that correctly from the voice inside my head that RuPaul will in fact not be playing this first map because he's still in a collegiate game?
Yo,
double booking,
back,
my man.
Get that
What a grinder.
That's what I'm talking about, you know what I mean? Yeah.
You know, this entire series was actually delayed already because in both teams we have players in collegiate who are double dipping, getting
hustling,
grinding it out. They're hustling. I respect that.
Mad respect.
But, yeah, RuPaul giving DHILLDUCKS maybe an in here with his sheer absence. Will Danny be the one filling his shoes? We'll see. We'll see. Here's DHILLDUCKS. Let's talk about them.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna call him DHILLDUCKS. I'm gonna treat that H as if it's sort of silent.
Definitely just DHILLDUCKS.
DHILLDUCKS. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is obviously a team that we're dealing with 1-0 teams, right? So DHILLDUCKS able to beat out FACEIT yesterday, which is obviously a pretty, you know, good result, and they've been showing a lot of dive composition so far. Generally, not as known players as far as sort of we're concerned, but you know, we do have players that are on collegiate teams here, so I think they're going to get absolutely smashed in this game, but you know, it's really a question about how the rest of this group plays out for DHILLDUCKS, and this is obviously a very important experience. And they're going to be annoyed, like, where's RuPaul? We want to play against the full stack here. Sorry, guys. Well, you have to work your way up.
They got the name game. A large bagel, frothy Philly 7. I don't know. Something's in the water for those dogs.
Crime?
I like what I'm seeing.
Just do a heckin' crime.
Yeah.
Oh, studies in the water, be like hallucinogens, perhaps? No, something to really give them inspiration on coming up with not only their team name, but their individual name tags. Yeah, look, I think we want to sort of see where the Toronto Defiant are at, sort of coming out of that brief break after the main event here. I think we expect them not to have missed a beat. I think a lot of people are watching to see if there are any vulnerabilities, especially their opponents, to see if there's anything in their tape here that could potentially be exploited, but the team's watertight, and they have been for some time here, so DHILLDUCKS are going to have to give them a real showing here if they want to put that pressure and maybe start to touch on some weak spots.
I think if you're going to see any weak spots, though, I think they're going to be hard to find. Even just looking at their match yesterday, not only did we get a chance to just see them have full dominance in a matchup like that, but the fact that we even saw some trolling, Mitch, I feel like that's just a testament to how strong Toronto Defiant still are, feeling confident to be able to play the Lifeweaver of all heroes and still be able to role swap as well.
Yeah, look, I think when you have a team like this, and it's kind of important to remember, like, okay, so someone is like a top tank player, right? But we know just how freakishly much these guys play the game, and you can virtually put them on any hero and find them to sort of have a decent sort of output at any kind of level. I'm thinking like Checkmate did this, right? You know, we saw Checkmate play tank a fair bit, and I remember that very fondly over on that Florida Mayhem squad. So many of these players at the top level can make those switches and still find success here. It does look like Coach Danny, though, is coming in for the Toronto Defiant, as Zoe hinted at here. So a change at DPS. And DHILLDUCKS hoping that might be enough to give them some step to this matchup.
Listen, I think even when you're taking a look at the coach role, though, Toronto Defiant, they've got a full arsenal of people at their disposal to help make sure that they're going to be one of the top teams. So I'm kind of expecting that Danny's going to be able to show up here.
A lot of money.
Okay, there is that too. Money can talk. That might be part of the reason why we see Toronto Defiant at the top, but it is also going to be hopefully within the team strategy that Danny could bring to the table when playing.
Sojourn will have the Sigma set up here, and someone again has to be careful, doesn't want to get wedged in that corner as Baz does connect a charge. Immortality will throw down by DHILLDUCKS, even though they were on the offensive. And as that expires, Merritt's able to find an opening to pick off the Bastion. And the lion's share of the damage for DHILLDUCKS is now gone.
I mean, this is just going to be a really big opening here for Toronto Defiant to take. If they're even able to break through the Symmetra, the crime has been up for so long that it's going to be a very charged sim until at the final moments, no longer. I don't know how much I believe in this Reinhardt composition. Uber, I feel like we've seen Reinhardt get tried, especially by a team that has been able to make its identity based around that Reinhardt, like Space Station, but it just feels so easy to manipulate on maps like this when you're able to just kind of get in its face with something like the Sigma.
Yeah, I mean, there are some of those wider sidelines that you can force the Reinhardt to play in for time and pressure that shield down. Baz wants to play the corner, try to wrap around it if he can. At least force to out that kinetic grasp, but Crime's already fallen, so Merritt's finding pick after pick around the periphery of both of these shields. And he can do this as a solo player, and if there's no individuals or, duo players that can challenge Merritt, he'll just have his way with them, and so he does. The disruptor shot there was enough to clean up Frothy Philly after he at least was able to trade, and Danny, why you gotta do my boy like that? Baz gets hammered. Okay.
Who has the better hammer, the Reinhardt or the Torbjorn? And I think Danny might have just been able to show us which one. Well, I mean, Baz is able to walk away with the Earthshatter here, but if someone is going to continue to play with this aggressive Sigma, it would be difficult to weave in that Earthshatter around that movable shield.
They're going to use the TP now to try and keep themselves out of poke range for as long as possible. It's a great shadow here from Baz that is followed up upon Gravitic Flux. They'll actually call Crime. This is huge. Symmetra's out of the game, so that sort of long team fight damage ramp up is gone. The Bastion here, of course, Razor needs to reset real quick because Toronto have not given up this point for a second.
It's a great Earthshatter, but an even better response from someone to be able to hit that Gravitic Flux. And so DHILLDUCKS, they got one last shot at this one, Mitch, and it's only going to be off of this Photon Barrier. Maybe this Lucio Sound Barrier as well will give him a bit of extra sustain heading into this final fight.
It's going to have to be a Sound Barrier to start this fight. I think there's no other option here. Crime going to play from behind the sim wall. So DHILLDUCKS have been able to drag out the ultimate somewhat by having the sim barrier in play and knowing that Toronto can't afford to engage or get close to that pod comp. It'd be useless. They're going to have a go at it right now, though. They know they're going to be walking into a sound barrier. Can they put pressure down on Reddit and make this hard to use? Long call from Danny gets into Rocket. He's brought down because Razor is in wheels mode. That'll be a nice fight here from DHILLDUCKS. They spend that sound barrier just the right way.
Great use of that, just to make sure that they can buy themselves an extra life in this fight. But Toronto Defiant, well, they might have had to use the... okay, I don't know how much this Torbjorn ultimate was going to end up doing in a fight like this, but they still have Merritt's overclock, and that's going to be the next piece of the puzzle that Toronto Defiant are working up towards. And Merritt, with the overclock in his hands, like, he's already deadly as just a Sojourn player, but now might even be a more tour de force.
Dangerous, though. He wanted to try and flank around, but going to the left will put him on the edge of the map, and then he can get moved off very easily. The Immortality field from Sugar 3 was not enough to keep them hanging around in this fight. Yeah, Sugar 3 on Baptiste, something we didn't really spend too much time talking about, but that's obviously a different look here for the Toronto Defiant.
True,
They don't get much done there in that fight, though.
No, I mean, Toronto Defiant do have to play around with the pieces that they have, but this is where DHILLDUCKS can really shine with this comp, is they get to play from the forefront. Now.
Comes a mortar strike here. It's mostly avoided by the Toronto Defiant. I like the upfront TP here from DHILLDUCKS. They are trying to get around this Sigma zoning as much as possible. They're going to pop the overclock here defensively and needs to respect the Symmetra damage up on that high ground and to disrupt the shot. Or put some pressure down as well. Backslaw appears right in front of Merritt, who just is able to get away. The charge won't allow the right to close the gap, and Baz gets dragged down before he reaches his target. Danny, though, fell to a tactical grenade here. DHILLDUCKS have the numbers to work with now. Merritt needs to find some solo kills. So low. Lost Razor there. But Merritt was unable to finish that kill. Redex, though, bites up a bit more than he can chew. And Immortality field will only drag this out for Frothy Philly. Toronto now are back on the point. And they should have this one tied up.
It was a really great fight, though, by DHILLDUCKS. As soon as they were able to take control of the point, they were in a firm driver's seat position. When you're able to play with the Reinhardt from more of a defensive point, or even just being able to set the pace a little bit better with that Symmetra teleporter, I feel like we saw a brand new look to this DHILLDUCKS comp, but it took so long for them to get there that Toronto Defiant were able to wrap around them with ultimates and get the job done.
Yeah, like in theory, you favor the Reinhardt comp when there's so many of these close quarters to play from. Like, we noticed Toronto trying to set themselves up on a part of the map that, you know, allowed someone to get chip damage against Baz's shield, but doing that actually forces them out towards like the very edge of that map and puts them at great risk of being knocked off. So they had to play corners a lot, and this meant that Merritt had to go off on his own. Now heading into this round, you probably have a little bit more room to breathe as the Sigma, of course, with some more open sight lines.
And more open sight lines, but it does take a Sigma a little bit sometimes to walk into something like a Reinhardt. That's where Vega's going to be able to come in clutch here for Toronto to help make sure that those rotations are very clean and very quick.
Oh, that's dangerous. Frothy Philly tries to challenge Merritt there, but the Immortality Field falls behind him. He doesn't have the buffer to take that fight. Someone did get picked off, though, pressured down by Baz, who wanted to close the gap as quickly as possible. Danny off the Sim, or the tall brother. Now on the Tracer is able to bring the Bastion down as Razor was on an island of his own here.
Tracer's super nice here from Toronto because DHILLDUCKS have not wanted to show us a Tracer look of their own yet. So Danny can go relatively uncontested with the Tracer and lock down maybe even some of these health packs away from DHILLDUCKS. But it's going to be a bit of a swap up here. Bass is going to go over to the Orisa. This gives a little bit more dunk walk power to the DHILLDUCKS as you're able to just kind of go forward into the Toronto Defiant team. But hey, look at this. Someone's also going to switch over to the Doomfist too, so makes swaps across the board.
Yeah, I feel like this is almost Bass responding to someone switch. You need some form of disruption now against the Doomfist. Ryan can't provide you that unless he's hitting a big old charge. Razor very low. Looks like he got caught rather by a rocket punch of someone who now has taken so much space behind that barrier. Beautiful stuff. A lot of pressure now on Frothy Philly. Might be forcing out that Immortality Field, and so it did. Pulse from Danny doesn't connect, but Crime has been taken down. Merritt trying to play front and center here, but taking a lot of poke damage as he tries to assert himself. It'll still have the outcome of forcing DHILLDUCKS back to this 4.
They go back to their spawn, but for not very long, as DHILLDUCKS still have that personnel advantage. You're going to see Merritt have to wrap around there to try to get an off angle as the mortar strike comes through.
Okay, Power Slide just got used there by Merritt, so he actually has to walk away from these. He's very, very low, but somehow survives. And Sugar Free now tries to get back involved with the Kitsune Rush. Maybe boost that healing capacity somewhat. Frothy Philly, it's a very threatening position here, and he sends an Immortality Field down, but maybe he should have saved it for himself, because Merritt comes knocking. The Baptiste is out of the fight now, and Sugar Free's more than happy to go for some solo kills, especially given his background. Razor on the point, though. Not much of an issue as soon as the power block of someone gets thrown in his face.
Look at that, though. It's going to be one more fight here for Toronto Defiant to be able to take this first map, and with all of these off rolls as well. We kind of already thought this might be a bit of a stomp here for Toronto Defiant, but they could make this a real clean sweep in this round. Someone, though, can't get away.
Yeah, again, the hindrance of the mag grenade from Crime kind of keeps the Doomfist in play for long enough to pick him off. Pretty deadly, of course. Crime doesn't really fancy trying to play the range that Merritt can, but against the Tracer, against the Doom, his Cassidy's a decent pick. Losing Razor here, not the end of the world, especially if someone's going to suffer this level of pressure. Here's the Terror Surge, and Sugar Free doesn't get out alive. The Orisa running rush shot over Toronto.
Orisa's been looking so good here. Another reason kind of why DHILLDUCKS has been able to play so well from taking control of the point is just how Baz is able to play a bit more aggressively in these team compositions. But you're still looking at something like Crime being able to go with that Cassidy High Noon, might be able to force away Toronto Defiant from going in, and the poke is working here. Toronto Defiant have had to take a little bit more time on the income.
They need to try and land on the Cassidy if they can. Someone with a redirection mid-air. The punch was on a fortified Orisa though, so no value to be found there. He did once more, the power block was up, now expired, trying to interrupt the Cassidy, and Crime is knocked back into a wall. It's enough damage to secure the kill on the Deadeye and Cassidy. Nicely done by Merritt. I think he knows this one is about wrapped up now, as there's really nothing Razor can do to get out into the fray. All the sidelines are covered here by Merritt and co, and all the blinks being used to try and keep him alive. Here's a sound barrier, but DHILLDUCKS don't really have anyone to contest, and the Toronto Defiant, as many might have expected, start on a strong foot.
Toronto Defiant should win this series, right? Like, on paper, Toronto Defiant, pound for pound, are able to probably get the better of most of these players in 1v1s on DHILLDUCKS, but, like, they have to show us convincing victories, and that's really what we're looking for in a match like this.
Yeah, I think like at the first stage of Samoa, I think objectively their composition was a little bit weaker. And that's maybe part of the reason why it got so close. There was some snowballing, and I also think the rationing of ultimates by DHILLDUCKS was quite good there. The switch of Cassidy is also fine, but you are still going to be susceptible to what the Sojourn can do. She's still going to be able to pressure you well. And you also still don't like being dove by a Doomfist, even if you can throw a mag grenade and sort of stave him off for a time. I think, I don't know, nothing's more emblematic than seeing like the Deadeye getting charged and then someone coming in and just punching the crud out of the Cassidy and sort of ending it. But there was this fight like when we saw the sound barrier come out here. Like, I like this. This was where we started to see DHILLDUCKS make it competitive in that first round.
Yeah, it was after they took control of the point that they felt a lot more confident to be able to go in and make those calls. And I do wonder what DHILLDUCKS will look like when we do go over to these maps that have strongly identified attack and defensive sides, because it did take them a bit to kind of get off the ground running, but once they were able to figure out their momentum and their rhythm, they did figure it out, and that was why that first round did look as good as you said.
Yeah, like you see, like Razor generates a ton of threat on the Bastion. Like, you can't just brute force a solution to that problem. You've got to make use of power block. You've got to get your tracer in behind them. You've got to pressure from multiple angles. So I do think at least DHILLDUCKS are able to propose a complex problem to the Toronto Defiant and force them to not only outskill them, but, you know, come up with like a academically like sound response. It's like, again, someone's hindered here. Okay, there's a Deadeye. All right, well, I guess me and Merritt will just beat you up. Merritt across the map was the one that got that big assist there. And, well, I mean, it's a pretty drastic difference in stats here. I think like the KD says a lot. You know, you will see DHILLDUCKS do more healing because they're taking more damage.
Yeah, that is, I think what we are able to garner out of a lot of these stats is hopefully things just line up the way that they're supposed to, right? Especially when Toronto Defiant are able to get the better of DHILLDUCKS in both of those rounds. You'd hope that they would have the stats to match that. It's not always been the case in some of these that we've seen in the main event, but looking good so far for Toronto Defiant to kind of keep the ball rolling as we look forward to the next map. But I wonder, Mitch, is RuPaul done yet with this collegiate match that we might get to see the roles go back to normal?
We might, and I think people that are hoping to see what Toronto Defiant's been working on and maybe what they're capable of might like to see that switch, but they don't need to do that this series, I think, to win at 3-0. That is just how unbelievably talented, you know, this roster is. Like, Sugar-Free still able to have significant impact, even as support. Danny's done a fine job there on the tracer. You know, I won't fault him too much for any of that. So Toronto Defiant looking very good at the start of this first to 3. More to come, of course, on the other side of the break.
Heroes, this is your game, your team, and now this is your league. This is your community's future, and this is your prize pool. Win your matches, battle for your progression. Go far, go further, even as far as the Esports World Cup. It is your time to shine. Build your team, register your team, go the distance with your team. FACEIT League, powered by you.
I don't know about you, Rose, but I'm really excited to be, you know, getting involved with the FACEIT League finally. I think it's actually something that we've been asking for so long in Overwatch, especially, you know, we were creating pro pugs for a time, right, to try and simulate that experience. So we want to encourage everybody to sign up there. It's a great way to experience competition. There are different skill tiers that have you matched against similar opposition, especially to the Swiss formats. It's really worth getting involved in. And talking to the FACEIT guys, they're in for the long haul. They really want to build out a competitive ecosystem over years and years. So get into the ground floor, get in early, and get stuck into some competitive matches. Well, you got your wish, Rose. RuPaul's done with his collegiate game. He's getting maximum Overwatch today because he's been shoved straight back into the Toronto lineup.
All right, well, here we go. We get a chance to see Sugar-Free now go back over to the DPS role as RuPaul comes back into the roster to take up that second support. And congrats, Danny, getting a map win here for the Toronto Defiant. It's a pretty big dub, honestly.
Yeah, we take those. Sugar-Free also throwing us back here on this roster graphic to the time when Doomfist was a DPS. How terrifying. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. Of course, here's your DHILLDUCKS roster again as a reminder. Razor, of course, showing us a fair bit of Bastion play there, and definitely able to have some impact. I think the Symmetra is also a good look on that first round, and they really got a lot of use out of her ultimate. But we're heading over to Hollywood, Rose, and I think you asked, like, what happens when we start to see maps come up that have a really strong, like, attack-defense dichotomy, like when there's a lot of identity per side of the map. I think we're seeing it now, and let's not forget, someone who's one of the best dive tanks on this map for the last couple of years, and teams that he played in were ferocious on this map for that reason, especially defensive dive was really scary to see from him and his team.
Right, like you look at an attack and defensive favored map and you say, okay, DHILLDUCKS, I think you actually have a much better shot to show us a bit more of what you're made of as a team, but then you bring that up too, right, Mitch, where Toronto Defiant, they get a little bit of a leg up as well, being able to play either this Sigma on the attack, the defense. I think Hollywood is also a great map for you to be able to show off that dive. Toronto Defiant just have so many different looks that they can give us in terms of team compositions that DHILLDUCKS might struggle to show us any more than they've been able to on Samoa, but only time will really tell.
Yeah, I do want to wait to see what composition they come out with here. I see like even the Sen Hobbit, I mean against slower setups, it's actually not too bad, but it's pretty risky. DHILLDUCKS going to be looking like going for something a little bit more all-in. And Toronto, it's a similar idea as what we saw from them in that first map, right? Have a really strong core, really strong front line that's quite strong against dive, and then sort of let Merit flank and let Sugarfree take advantage of that shielding.
And that shield is going to be so nice too when you've got this defensive setup, because you can put that Sigma on Cafe, you can actually give that shield over to any DPS that might want to be on that high ground or the off angle. It can be really valuable there. Just make sure that the DPS is protected. But look at this, it's going to be an immediate swarm of Merit in the back as they'll see their prey and they want to grab it.
You normally expect to see Sugarfree on the Tracer and Merit on the Cassidy here. So a bit of a switch up, and that kill straight away sort of tells you what Toronto are trying to do. By the time Baz gets within striking distance of this front line, he's like 10 HP, and he's easy to clean up.
You just gotta bunker down over that Cafe, and then you have to make that Winston come to you, and that's really where Toronto Defiant can get that punish as soon as that Winston is out of those mobility cooldowns. They're chasing off of these picks back to spawn, and someone on Toronto Defiant might even be able to complete the push this spawn doors challenge here.
I mean, they could have done it if they really wanted to. Lenny is looking pretty sharp on the Cassidy today. Disrupt the shot here will slow Toronto down a little bit, but they're able to get back in formation, albeit on the low ground now. They will retreat back into the Cafe as the pressure comes in from Baz. This gives Crime a good vantage point to play from, but he still has to respect because he's playing within the optimal range of the Cassidy if he's close to that ledge.
Winston, the cleave is really good, but Sugarfree is protected.
So much healing here as well. Deadeye not quite connecting. Razor getting fortunate there. Sugarfree couldn't quite find the timing, but Crime's going to get taken down by a pulse bomb. Mirror waited to power slide out and made sure that bomb was getting stuck.
Bomb is stuck, these headshots are sticking, and everything is coming up gold here for Toronto Defiant. It's still going to be 2 minutes off the clock here for DHILLDUCKS, and they still have those 2 minutes to work with 1/3 of the pie, maybe in a bit of a better perspective. But when can they use these ultimates? I feel like Toronto Defiant have just been able to set the pace time and time again, being able to use that pulse bomb, being able to use the Deadeye to make sure that DHILLDUCKS are pushed back. And here comes the Hudson again. Lucky into this auto on the window.
Great mortality kill though. They can't really make use of the Matrix here because they had to fall back, but I think we'll take that any day of the week. They're able to sort of bend with the pressure being applied to them, and Baz is getting juggled around, but now he's about to turn that on his captors. Good pressure from Vega though. Initial stun there on Baz as he went into primal, and he's quite low. This takes the Winston out of the fight for the next few seconds. There's an overclock coming with the second wave of offense for DHILLDUCKS. Crime's got a decent sideline, but he's playing for the low ground, and that makes him susceptible to someone like Merritt, who just walks up on him and cleans out the kill on the Sojourn. And Redex will eventually be dragged down as well. That's about the best that DHILLDUCKS could ask for in terms of ultimates in a fight. I don't know if they really have the positioning to set Crime up for success though.
It's so tough because when you're the Winston, you have to expect that you're going to be able to break up that defensive hold that Toronto Defiant have, but it's so difficult to do that when you are playing against one of the best teams in the world and their kiting is elite. Someone also just deletes Razor in the back, and this is going to be another lost fight here for DHILLDUCKS. Yeah,
there's no step to be had here. That's not really how the close thing happens. Spend most of his time approaching the point under extreme poke damage. And sometimes those hyperspheres just bounce around the right corner that a Tracer's waiting in. Now you see, that spray, it's a good spray, but they also gave it to us talent. So, it doesn't mean as much as you think it does, someone.
Hey, I'm not using it.
I flex it. I absolutely flex it. By will now use Defense Matrix to change sign name to something else and then use it so no one knows the fraud. Easy.
Love it. That's the long con.
Sugarfree shouldn't be there, but you know he's still able to make the run for one. Prime gets picked off, so now the Widow is going to have to re-establish a sight line that can work. Great pressure though, on towards someone. And still, DHILLDUCKS unable to get the touch there. Just a couple more seconds and they might actually have had point A.
Someone was backcapping. Like, there was a player on DHILLDUCKS that was on the point trying to get the backcap. And if this had maybe been EU, we might have actually seen the backcap go through.
That is fair. I mean, you were casting, so I definitely believed it was possible.
I had to hold my breath for that one because I wasn't entirely sure the backcap was going to happen. But lucky for us, the curse is at bay. Just
yes.
more maps.
We've managed to still the curse for the time being. Toronto, again, it's a pretty comfortable composition. It's one that obviously relies on Sugarfree to have pretty insane output. And it also gets a bit dicey when the enemy Sojourn gets up on the opposite high ground and starts to put pressure down. A lot really hinges on how that exchange goes between the two hit scan DPS. But I don't know, Sauron was so hard to shift. I think Razor had a really tough time wrapping around the backside, and you know, the immortality fields were very, very good from Toronto. RuPaul made it very, very hard. The guy's warmed up, you know what I mean? He's been hanging out with his collegiate buddies. Now he's here in OWCS, and yeah, he's looking pretty sharp still.
I mean, RuPaul had a full series, and it was versus Maryville, Luminosity. Like, what better warm-up could you have had than versus one of the best teams in NA?
Yep, collegiate's getting kind of brutal nowadays. Like, they ain't messing around. You'd love to see it. All right, Iliari here for Vega.
I love to see Hog. I think.
Yeah, a bit of Hog. I wouldn't really.
Do I love to see this? Oh!
I like to see that. Someone? You don't want to... No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Actually, M1 is banned. M1 is banned. Nice hook. Pressure now being put on Baz, and obviously this is really threatening to a Winston. Baz again will get disrupted like he would against a Christian or against an Orisa Javelin, but also getting dragged into the enemy formation without being able to throw his bubble down instantly is a bit of a problem. Straight away, half his HP disappears as someone too captive, and Vega's there to finish off the elimination.
Take a breather, take a break, take a nap. Toronto Defiant, I don't know if someone needs to do much more than this to get the point.
No, I mean, he's done. He is channeling vintage Snizzlenose out here right now. Crying back in a way. Yeah, Vega obviously bearing down upon that. Cassidy will end the round. Baz got body blocked there by Merit in Ice Block. And Toronto Defiant make it pretty straightforward for us here. Pretty one-sided game on Hollywood.
You know that someone is having a good time when someone is going to bring out an off-meta tank pick and make it look really, really good. We saw this before Mauga was the Giga Mauga that we had for that one patch, and then it got reverted, and someone again bringing out the Roadhog, which is not something that I think we should ever expect to see much of in OWCS.
I think approaching that hero pick from an academic standpoint would be a waste of time, but it was fun. And, you know, again, he hit like 3 hooks, and of course, like the pressure you put on Winston, like he is very, very strong against those Winston comps, because all of a sudden, Baz doesn't know if he's diving into a win or a cactus. It's you know, pretty dangerous. It requires you to play much differently. The Lenny Cassidy, though, I'm a fan of this. Very aggressive, as you probably, you know, can see, but I think that's just a playstyle enabled by the rest of the Toronto Defiant showing no respect at this point in the competition. Why not? Get your games done, hit the showers after, and be planning for the rest of this group stage.
I mean, listen, if you've got a Brigitte that's as good as Vega, that's gonna be there to give you some cookies, maybe give you a bit of a warm hug with the rally, I think you're feeling pretty confident that you can go walk up to basically anything and play without fear if you are gonna be a long-range hit scan like Sugarfree. So I think you're feeling great on Toronto Defiant with your odds right now. Stat check?
Stat check. Well, look, it's a little grim. It is a little grim, but this is, again, we saw many of these team fights go where maybe Toronto losing 1, maybe 2 players. Like, this is an expected stat line for a team that is unable to win a team fight over the course of the entire map. It's about as bad as it gets here, so the upside for DHILLDUCKS is that you know, it's only up and up from here as Esperanca will be on the docket for our next map. This is the kind of map where, again, we can still see plenty of that Winston play. That is, you know, very appropriate. I also, you know, I think that you can do a lot with Sigma here. I think if someone just wants to stay on that pick and they can control the high ground effectively, then they're going to be very impressive, especially once they're able to push up that first 10 to 20 meters of bot progress.
I'm waiting with bated breath to see if we are going to see the role swaps that are being hovered over right now.
They're doing it.
From Toronto Defiant.
I think they actually
this was the map last time.
They submitted official role swaps to administration in between.
Okay.
So they are doing this.
Listen, this is what we saw. When they were on their final map yesterday to be able to get the 3-0 to be here today, it was with these rule swaps, and it's happening again. And you know, I gotta say, Sugar Freeze, Winston looked pretty good. I saw those Primal Rages, I saw the juggles, they were legit.
He's about to run it back once more. Mirror Oliana. Very suitable hero for a bit of an aim god. The Immortality builder to be thrown down there. Merritt does get clamoured upon pretty quickly. The bass is very low. Someone should be able to clean this up easily enough. It's going to be Vega on the Cassidy instead. They get the job done. A bit of a back and forth fight here, but more than enough to be headed in the right direction. Bot is on the move.
And this one too, actually just getting information from production. Sugar Free is the first player to play every single role in an official match. So congratulations for that accolade. Please don't forget the bot. Please and thank you. Your resident C9 caster.
Yeah, no. You're gonna have Rose on edge to start getting up to those kind of shenanigans. Either way, Toronto now has to fight for the high ground once more. That was a Susu that had to be forced out immediately from front to Philly onto Redex because of the Bionate that hit. One of the best targets you could ask for there. Merritt connecting with the Lucio. Oh, going to be thrown down now, and full Sugar Freeze is going to be topped up right here. You can see that Rupal playing back from behind where Vegas standing. He's able to keep Sugar Free in the fight. Pulse bomb there on Redex, and Baz fell and fought. The hindrance meant that Winston was never going to get out of that fight. And again, some signs of resistance being offered, but it is not remotely enough from DHILLDUCKS.
We've got it! Let's go! Toronto Defiant at this point too, like they're gonna run rings around these ultimates being charged up by DHILLDUCKS. You already had Pulse Bomb get thrown out here by someone. I think it's pretty awesome to see that someone can still hold his own on a DPS hero as well, as we kind of all have expected based on the sort of no fear play style that he has. They just walk up to somebody and Pulse Bomb them too, so that's a great look. But Merritt's got this nano boost. Very much give it over to Winston.
Alright, over to Sugar Free now, is on the dive. Alabist, of course, with a bit of extra durability, but still a lot of damage taken. And that's front-loaded from Crime with that fan hammer. Still, Baz is probably filling you down. Two most important targets, and that mag grenade won't save you this time, Crime. You know what follows Crime? Punishment. Back to spawn with you. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Jail?
Jail.
I think the spot.
Jail, immediately. Crime and punishment. That's the phrase.
Jail. Crime and punishment, go to jail. Excellent. This is our Monopoly board here. We're just living in the Toronto Defiant universe. It's going to be checkpoint unlocked, as well as that bot gets to the butt scratch mode, unlocks his forward spawns. Sugar Free is back. He's creating some problems.
Okay, good peel back for Sugar Free here, but a lot of people piling behind him from DHILLDUCKS, and they have built up that critical mass of ultimates here. Credit to them as well. They're not just blowing them immediately. They're going to maintain a sound barrier into the next fight. I think that's probably one of the most important decisions to be making here when you have such a big deficit to make up.
Well,
maybe some ego involved in that challenge. Just a little.
Maybe a little, but that was a 1v1 that someone was able to win versus a Lucio.
Good job. You beat a Lucio, someone. What's next?
Really? So,
are you going to win a world championship?
Again?
Again, that's right.
Again?
Oh my goodness. That was almost a little bit of an Ajax there from Redex. Able to get the beat off just in time, but for who? If Lucio beats in the woods and no one's there to see it, does he beat it all?
No.
We're able to... Look, I guess it's fine. You're able to provide it to maybe a couple of players there, but the fight's getting very segmented, very broken up.
I think a lot of that is just credit to Toronto Defiant. They always play a little bit scrappy, especially when they're going to be in a bit of a silly mode. But they're isolating a couple of these key members here on DHILLDUCKS, and it does make those pushes way more fragmented. And that's something that Toronto Defiant, as a team, know how to punish when they are able to take those players 1v1.
Yeah, right now in a 2v5, they just need to pull the plug. And they get on out there, Crime going to confirm that with a Deadeye. Toronto looking to regroup here. Is there a risk of giving up the first checkpoint to DHILLDUCKS? Crime wants to reissue their high ground, but they've already lost Razor. That's a dangerous prospect. Okay, Bionable whizzing past Crime's left here. He's able to avoid the anti-heal, but can he find any targets? Yeah, the bot is on the move once more. Mag grenade, no connection. Now someone can start to go to work with impunity. And Crime gets bopped.
This is the point where we would want to see Toronto Defiant bring things back together. Like, silliness is very fun, but if you are going to give up an objective, if you're going to give up enough meterage, then people might wonder a little bit, like, okay, what are you actually doing in the match right now? Maybe a bit of a gentleman.
Limit testing, I think. Just trying to see what they can get away with in many of these engagements, and also just trying to have a bit of fun. I think that's pretty important to remember.
Fun is a very important thing.
There are too many of these players played under Gunbert. They might have forgotten what it's like to have fun. So I'm really glad.
It's a video game. So.
Yes, I'm really glad they're taking this opportunity, and their brains haven't been taken over slowly by this like living AI that just encroaches into their neurons and acts like a parasite that drives their movements in game constantly. Big fan of that. Live it up, boys.
They've earned it. They really have earned having fun at this juncture. They look great. Someone is meleeing people to death.
Yeah, and look, tough to get away from because neither team is disengaging, right? So it's a long fight, gets dragged out, a lot of individual challenges here. Vega finding that one kill, that puts DHILLDUCKS in a very nasty spot now. They've only got 2 DPS left, and the Mag grenade connects with Razor, which means that Tracer is not skipping more jumping away.
I just want to call out again, if they let someone get away with that kill at 1 HP, he was 1. He was like actually 1. If you're going to call out that somebody is 1, someone was actually 1.
That might be the first time someone was actually literally 1.
Yeah.
As opposed to being about 70 to 130 HP in Silver Knuckle anyway. So that's the standard we should be setting in ranked. I appreciate that example. Rose?
Yep. Anytime. Anything to help out your ranked games.
But this is obviously a drumming. Someone here putting a lot of pressure down, going to be able to get topped up as he returns to his own backline. Coming up here, there could be a Deadeye to punish like this aggression, especially now the die's already been used by Baz. Vegas able to backtrack a little bit here, but the second jump from Baz is a scary one. This will force a disengage. Sugar-Free gets dragged down elsewhere now. It's going to have both support ultimates up by DHILLDUCKS to try and get back into this game.
There's going to be a pulse bomb now dropped in the woods, and I don't think anybody saw that one, but
I wish I didn't.
My eyes!
What a day to have eyes. Alright. Crime overextends a little bit there into the high ground that Toronto able to set up following the elimination of Sugar-Free. Who has a primal
Junkrat?
Yes. Yes, he is. I'm not really sure if there again is an academic basis for that decision, and I wouldn't read into it too much, but you take positioning up on this top left or top right side, it could be quite the nuisance.
You were trying so hard here, Mitch. I appreciate the...
I'm really trying to set expectations for people though. Like, don't waste brain power on trying to understand what the underlying plan is here. Oh, that's not how you want to meet Junkrat at all. At least take the fight face to face someone. That's dirty. Sugar-Free here with a primal, make it 3. Razor is not getting out of spawn, and they know it. We're going to get a full cap here for the Toronto Defiant to close out a 3-0 clean sweep.
Well, I'm going to chalk up the Junkrat pick to having more fun.
Yes.
I think is the answer to that question. That was fun.
Yes, against a Widow, I definitely think it's more motivated by fun than anything else. But look, Toronto is showing us they can sort of have a more lax approach to the game and still come out with a very clean result here. This is, you know, it probably feels like a warm-up to them in some senses. They do know there are dangerous enemies, so in lurking amidst the rest of these groups, though, and they'll know when the time comes, they'll have their guard up.
Yeah, they certainly will not be tested in their group specifically, but I also didn't really feel like they were last stage. So interesting to see who is gonna, you know, take them the extra mile, make them sweat a little more. It wasn't the Ducks, but we get to see Roadhog, so I can't complain. I'm happy. Also, RuPaul getting the double warm-up by playing collegiate. I hope he won his game. I hope it was worth it. And Danny subbing in, you know, showing us that he's not washed yet. Why not?
He was fine. Credit to Danny.
He did great.
Just
Came
fine.
out, showed us a great game in Samoa. We'll take anything away from it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to be said about this particular match, but based on what you guys have seen from the DHILLDUCKS, how will they fare against the rest of their group? Because they're not out yet. This was the winner's match. They will have another chance to actually qualify for the main event. Doable?
It's so hard to say. Like, I don't know how much we can actually classify this as a match. Because, like, it was Toronto Defiant. Like, of all the opponents that you could have, I think Toronto Defiant is going to be the one opponent that would make you, just make it look silly, right? So I think we still have yet to see what the DHILLDUCKS can bring to the table, aside of the match that they played yesterday, which was a 3-0 victory, and very convincing for the DHILLDUCKS in that way as well.
They could get out in second. They already beat FACEIT, so let's see DHILLDUCKS go all the way.
But for now, we're gonna replay the winning moments of Toronto Defiant. Let's hear how much fun they had with this one.
Yeah, enjoy that. Monkey one, monkey one, monkey one, monkey one! Lucio, Lucio. Shut! Oh my god, is that Ushui?
Yeah! Who do you say gap to, bro?
That Gushue?
Is that Gushue? In my mind?
Why is he screaming? He's screaming gap at them. Why are you screaming gap at them? Come on,
Amp yourself up, man.
Oh,
they had fun with it. I mean, someone was living his best life. I always wonder when we see role swapping like that and then just like trolling around, who makes those calls? Also, is there anyone on the team who's like, guys, let's not.
I mean, look, they were still calling, right? They were. It wasn't even that.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that clownish, honestly. Like they were calling their targets. They were saying like monkey one, which is great. That's, you know, for those wondering, that's a great comm. Especially if the monkey is actually full HP or half HP. Monkey one's still great. Still great.
He
That's
was
what we
actually
like to hear.
kind of one.
He was one. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was definitely one grenade from dying.
Kind of one.
Great comms, guys. Yep.
Yeah,
This is a
you
world
said
beater.
Monkey 1 and Tracer 1. If you said that in your comms, then you clearly commed on the highest of levels.
Now, if you scream gap incessantly in our ranked games as well, I'm going to get very hyped up because that is going to signal to me that you are actually dominating your one-to-one opponent, and that's going to fill me with confidence. So, yeah, if you're in ranked games, make sure you scream gap as often as you can.
That's really great advice, and this is why we now have 10 slots to avoid players.
One of them is going to be Nick. Very tough.
One is going to be the person.
Listen, I'm number one. Doesn't matter where it is, okay? Could be on the B-roll highlights. Could be on your avoid list. Doesn't matter to me. It's all the same. Number one, baby.
Okay, Sugar Free on that Winston doing the Lord's work.
Yes.
He's had a fun game.
I mean, assuming that the Lord is Beelzebub and he's trying to wipe out existence, he is doing the Lord's work.
True.
Yeah.
Facts. Any Lord will do.
I mean, look, Sugar Free showed us great Winston play. Like, it was pretty tight, honestly. Backed up, obviously, very well by his backline. And of course, someone out there with just a chef's kiss performance on the Tracer. Maybe a couple too many 1v1s lost to a Lucio. That is one. That would be too many. But still, great to see him out there putting that pressure down. Sugar Free, of course, showed us some great support play as well. What are we even giving him player of the match for? It doesn't matter. It was an all-rounder effort from Sugar Free. It's the first player to play every role in an OWCS game.
That's right.
Pretty sweet.
What an achievement. Yeah.
Can we get that as like a personal, like a special achievement?
I'll give
OWCS season.
I'll give him a sticker for
verified
that.
Overwatch League player spray. You get the verified all-rounder and OWCS.
Yes,
spray.
but it has to be in Comic
I like
Sans
that.
font. It has to be.
Yeah, or the Joker font, I think, for old Microsoft Word.
Some good. I personally like Papyrus. You know, I like it a little more edgy. But yeah, we actually have an interview ready. I believe it's with Danny, who subbed in so very bravely on that first map since RuPaul just couldn't be bothered to show up to work, I guess. Danny, thank you so much for joining us here for a quick chat. You got to sub in. It finally happened. We're all waiting for it. You claimed at the very beginning of the season that we will not be seeing that unless someone is gravely ill. In fact, it just took someone to play some collegiate matches. Were you ready? Were you amped up? Were you nervous? Walk us through your feelings.
I mean, honestly, I was a little bit nervous. I had one map of warm-up scrim against Seeker's team, but it was a really fun experience just playing for the first time.
Now, obviously, you guys at the Toronto Defiant, you're in a position where you have the target on your backs, right? You have to find that motivation to continue to improve and stay ahead of the pack, even when you're not suffering losses to sort of stoke that sort of fire. So how do you keep the guys like motivated? How do you keep them on track here, especially when we have kind of games like this that frankly are pretty comfortable? You know, are you telling them to take it seriously? Are you letting them have a bit of fun with it? Like, how do you find a balance here to be the best team but also still striving to improve?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, these types of games, I think having fun is really good for everyone's motivation. But at the same time, we take practice very seriously. Like, we try to review as much as possible. We do reviews after scrims, and then even we stream all our scrims as well. We're always trying out different comps and everything like that. Like, we see that Venture's coming out next patch. We're also trying some new ball comps and everything like that. So we're trying to always like stay ahead of the pack if we can.
So you're reviewing this game? When's that scheduled for?
Oh, I don't know if we're going to review this game, but maybe I need to review my own performance. I don't know.
I need like the full meme content of you guys reviewing the game and finding some amount of approach.
Don't give them ideas for more content.
Play.
Oh yeah, I like Junker.
I think we would all enjoy that. But hey, listen, when kind of love to get your thoughts on weighing in on kind of like the top 4 situation in North America right now, because I think everybody has a bit of a different idea of what the power rankings look like for those 2nd to 4th place spots. So curious to know who you think might be in those positions.
Yeah, so right now I think Timeless is actually the 2nd place team. That's kind of our #1 enemy. We like to practice against them. We've been doing good. I think 3rd place goes to M80 right now, and luckily their Korean players are going to be heading to NA, so they'll be on better ping. Hopefully the competition will be a little bit better. But I don't know, Gator. We'll see what's going on in these matches. Your team hasn't been looking too good, dropping a couple maps early on, but yeah. And then I also want to give a shout out to Hunter and Luminosity. I think they're the 4th place team right now.
We actually get to see them playing in just a little bit against Timeless. Now, Danny, before I let you go, you may or may not be aware that Sugarfree is the first player, at least in OWCS, who's getting to play every single role in one single match. Now, here's some trivia question for you. Which player do you think was the first one to do so in OWL?
I think it was Mir. It was my former tank on Washington Justice, right? It was Mir on LA Gladiators.
It was not Mirror. He was, really? Oddly enough, it was not. We did think it was him. We consulted AI about that. I don't know if we have the graphic ready in time, so I'm trying to yap and stretch out my sentence to get that graphic ready. But I consulted our AI overlords in the mighty interwebs, and they spouted out a name. Mitch, do you want to have a guess? Rose, a guess?
Timer.
And read out Discord.
I peeked, so like I cheated is technically, so I can't say anything.
Okay, yeah, okay, Rose knows. I'm just gonna drop it, graphic or not. It was Costa. Out of all people.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Wait, when did he play? Yes.
The Valiant. Season 1 time, the Valiant went through something, I think, there. So Costa had to go through it with them. Right, well, that's it. Some trivia to end it all. Danny, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in the main event.
Yeah, thank you so much.